My name is Kirby Tillis Smith and BS Criminology, Section A. So in this video, I will gonna deliver a speech of the topic dangers of deception. So when we say the topic of the danger of deception, so what comes to our mind, and let's talk about and let's gonna discuss the dangers of deception. So listen up, guys. So what is danger of deception? So virtually every aspect of self-deceptions includes its definitions, and paradigmatic cases it's matter of controversy. Among a philosopher, minimalist self-deceptions involves a person who seems to acquire and maintain some false belief in the length of evidence to the contrary as a consequence of some motivation, and who may display behavior and suggesting some awareness of the truth. Beyond this, a philosopher divide over whether self-deceptions is intentional, involves belief of some other sub or non-deceptive attitude. Whether self-deceptions are morally responsible for their self-deceptions are and whether self-deception is morally problematic, and it is what ways and under what circumstances. Whether self-deceptions is beneficial or harmful. Whether and in what sense collectives can be self-deceived, how they might active individuals within such collective whether are penchant for our self-deceptions, and was selected for our merely and accidental a product of our exploratory history, and it was selected. So why? Why deceptions? So the discussion of self-deceptions and its associated puzzles heads light on the way motivation affects beliefs, equations, and retention and other beliefs, like cognitive attitudes. It also prompts us to synthesize the nation of a belief and the limit of such psychological concepts to equitatively explain phenomena of the sort of and its insofar as self-deception represents an obstacle to self-knowledge both individually and collectively. It is more than just another interesting philosophical puzzle, and it is a problem of existential concern since it suggested that there is a distinct possible and that was we lived it with distorted views of ourselves, either in the world that may make us stranger to ourselves and blind to the nature of our significant and moral engagement. So the definitions issues. So what is self-deceptions? Self-deceptions is traditionally deceptions has been modeled on interpersonal deceptions where intentionally gets to believe some proposition, and all the while knowing or believing truth that such deceptions is intentional. So, and requires that deceiver to know or believe that, and the deceived to believe that one reason for thinking, and self-deceptions is analogous to interpersonal deceptions of this sort is that it helps us to distinguish self-deception from more error, since the questions and maintenance of the false Belief is an intentional non-accidental if a self-deception is properly modeled or on such interpersonal deception. So, self-deceivers intentionally act themselves to believe that, and all while knowing or believing truly that on this traditional model are self-deceivers are apparently must hold contradictory beliefs and intentionally get themselves to hold a belief they know or believe truly to be false. So, so the intentionalist approaches the chief problem facing intentional models of a self-deception. So, self-deception is the dynamic a paradox, but namely that is a seems of impossible to form an intention to get in oneself to believe what one currently disbelieves or believes is false for one to carry out. An intention to deceive oneself, one must know what one is going to succeed, one must be ignorant of the same fact, and intentionalist these same foundationalists agree on the propositions that self-deception is intentional, but divide over whether it requires holding of contradictory belief and check thus over the specific content of the allegate. So intentional involves self-deceptions insofar as even the bare intention to acquire the belief that for reason not having to do with one's evidence for seems unlikely to succeed at directly known most intentionalists introduce some sort of temporal or psychological partitions to insulate self-deceivers from their deception stringems and when self-deceivers are not consciously aware of their belief to the contrary or their deception. So intention so no parts seems to be involved in deceiving oneself. Many approaches have utilized some combination. So deceptions is uh, involves dissimulations, propaganda, and straight of hands as well as distractions, camouflage, or concealment. There are also self-deceptions as in bad faith and also could be of varying subjective implications. So, beguilement, deceit, bluff, mystification, ruse, or subterfuge. So, deceptions of falsehood is an act of a statement that misleads, hides a truth, or promotes as a belief. Conceived or idea that is not true is and often done for personal gain or advantage. Deception can involve dissimulation, propaganda, and sleight of a hand as well as distractions, camouflage, or concealment. There is also a self-deceptions is and a bad faith is and can also called with varying subjective implications, beguilement, dislet bluff, mystification, ruse, or subterfuge. So, deceptions is a major relational transgressions that often leads to feelings or betrayal and distract between relations partners deceptions violates relations rules and is considered to be a negative violations or expectations. Most people expect friends, relational partners, and even strangers to be truthful. Most of time, if people expected most conversation to be untruthful talking and communication with others would require distraction and misdirection. To acquire reliable information, a significant amount of deception occurs between some romantic and relational partners. Deceit and dishonesty can also form grounds for civil allegation and tort of contract law where it is known as misrepresentation or fraudulent. Mispresentation it deliberates or give rise to criminal prosecution for fraud. It may also forms a vital part of psychological warfare. In denial and deception. So, communication deceptions include several types of communications or omissions that serve as to distort or omit the whole truth. Examples of deceptions range from false statements to misleading claims in which relevant information to omitted leading the receiver to enter false conclusion. For example, is a claim that sunflower oil is beneficial to brain health due to the presence of omega fatty acid may be misleading as it leads the receiver to believe sunflower of oil will be benefit brain health more so than other foods. In fact, sunflower oil is a relatively low in omega fatty acids and it's not particularly good to brain health. So while the claim is technically true, it leads the receiver to infer a false information. Deception itself is intentionally managing verbal or nonverbal. Managing verbal or nonverbal a messaging so that the message receiver will believe in the way of the message sender knows is false. Intent is critical with regard to deception and sense with a differentiates between deceptions that and honest mistake the interpersonal deception. Theory explores the interaction between the communication context and senders and receiver, cognitions and behaviors in deceptive exchange. The deception is a major relational transgression that often leads to feelings of betrayal and distrust between relational partners. Deception violates our relational rules and it's considered to be a negative violation of expectations. Most people expects friends, relational partners, and even strangers to the truthful most of the time. If people expected most conversations to be untruthful, talking and communicating with others will require distraction and misdir- misdirection. To acquire reliable information, a significant amount of deceptions occurs between some romantic and relational partners. Deceit and dishonesty can also form arounds for civil litigations. In short, of contract law where it is known as misrepresenting or deliberately or give rise to criminal prosecution. So for fraud, it also forms a vital part of psychological warfare and denial and deception. So that's all I'll deliver a speech of deceptions. I hope you'll enjoy the video and more learning that I have saying all my the topics of the danger of deceptions and thank you. Bye.